Now we review Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I have seen, and drank it a little bit too, Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. For every 1,000 subscribers I get, I do purchase one of these bracelets from the company 4Ocean. 4Ocean pulls a pound of trash out of the ocean every time I do that. If you would be so kind as to comment, like, and subscribe, you'd be doing your part for a better world. Now, this is a direct continuation, picks up right where the last film left off. So, Rebel Moon 1, Child of Fire, was about this hot androgynous chick, and she was facing off against the office dweeb from hell. And, you know, the office dweeb from hell comes to her village and is like, "You're going to sell me all this grain, so much grain that you can't grow enough to keep your people alive." So the androgynous chick, who used to be part of the evil Russians in this movie, goes out and Magnificent Sevens up herself some warriors to defend the village, but in the process of doing so, she winds up fighting the office geek from hell and giving him a terrible scar, which is how she's now called the Scargiver, because they want her to have a cool name. And, you know, she thinks he's dead. They were able to resurrect him because they have future technology, and now he's back to get his grain and blow up the village. So, yeah, that's basically your movie. And, you know, you have the typical slow motion sequences of people harvesting grain, which I thought was a little gratuitous and didn't need to be there. And you've got the sequences of people training to, you know, show how they're going to beat up the bad guys when they show up, and how they're going to prevent the big battleship from just blowing them up from orbit and not caring. And also, you have a scene or a sequence where all the characters are sitting at a table, and the ones you don't have their backstory, you tell their backstory, and there's also a robot with wooden antlers running around. It's a little confusing and convoluted, and basically a big CGI mess that looks awesome, but is otherwise crap. And, you know, this is the problem with this movie, is it's basically if somebody were filming a video game. In classic narratives, heroes are challenged at the end when they're at their weakest, okay? You are, like, look at Die Hard, great example. John McClane is beat up, he's bleeding, and he's got to use his brain because he can't use his body anymore to win. Look at Alien, okay? Sigourney Weaver, she has lost all of her crew, she doesn't have the stun unit, she doesn't have the flame unit, and she's got to find a way. She's literally brought down to basically nakedness, and that's why you see the butt cleavage in that movie, and that's what that is. In this movie, you know, the final conflict starts with the heroes at their strongest, which is like a video game, because you level up throughout the video game, and they're fighting a bunch of faceless goons who, you know, despite there being a lot more of them and them having better weapons, they're just mowing down like there's no tomorrow. And there are plenty of shots with ships falling out of the sky and big explosions. And all those things are wonderful. But, I mean, they're wonderful if you are extremely drunk or perhaps have partaken some of the devil's lettuce. And, I mean, none of these characters ever become strong enough to you for you to care about them. You hear their backstories, and their backstories don't mean anything to you because they could be lying. They don't endear you to the characters. And further, if you're going to add that much back information, like the general dude, apparently to punish him, what they did is instead of killing him, they killed all of his men in front of him. Like, okay, you know, kind of a spoiler there, but it has no emotional impact because you don't get to know these men. You don't get to see how much he loves these men. You don't get the implication that the men love him or that it's family. It's just that's what happened. So, yeah, it would be a much better movie if they made that story instead of this one. And I mean, yeah, you know, the best movies, all of the best movies are sequels to a movie you never got to see. Aliens, for example, is the sequel to Hadley's Hope. And there, I believe, is a comic book for Hadley's Hope, which is the story of how the aliens took down the colony. So you can read that if you want to. But, I mean, that would have been a great movie. You know, these people struggling so hard to survive, and then the only survivor is this little girl. That would have been a great movie. It really would have. So, yeah, and this movie, ironically, despite being a bad movie, is just that. It is a movie that is the sequel to a whole bunch of really good movies that we never get to see. So this is kind of the problem. And characters die, but you don't care. I mean, it's all just a giant CGI nutfest. It's like eating a gallon of ice cream. Like somebody sits you down and says, you know, dude, you're going to eat this full gallon of ice cream. I mean, you love ice cream, but a whole gallon of it at one time is just too much. And when you're done, you're like, okay, I really don't like ice cream for a while. That's what this movie is. So, yeah, look, if you want to enjoy this movie to the fullest, hallucinogens. I don't recommend you do that, but that's what you would need. This movie goes low on your watch list. It's not the bottom of the watch list. If you're a sci-fi geek like me, this is a fine movie. I enjoyed it enough. I'm just saying, you know, it is bland schlock. It is not a solid movie. The characters are beautifully constructed and have nothing to do. There are too many moving parts, and you've just taken something that could have been really, really great and, you know, made it generic and boring. So, yeah. You know, I mean, I got through this movie. I didn't have to stop watching it. I didn't have to do anything else, but man, it was just not a good movie. Anyway, like I say, low on the watch list, not quite the bottom. This is not a fans of the genre only movie, but this is definitely this is a background movie. You don't need to take anything in. And my cat is crying, so I'm going to go deal with that. I'll see you later. I'm Richard.
Greetings, humans! It's your old pal Randall the Rat again, and I'm taking a break from eating your delicious face to remind you to comment, like, and subscribe. And why should you do that? Well, for one thing, see this bling here? That awesome, isn't it? Yeah, got a dragon on it. This is what you get if you go to the Conqueror and start the Great Wall of China Challenge. Yeah. Walk long enough, bike long enough, you can plant 5 trees and get this awesome necklace, which the owner of this channel, Richard, has done for you, because he wanted to plant 5 trees and get an awesome necklace. And for every 1,000 subscribers he gets, he also buys a bracelet from 4Ocean, and they pull a pound of trash out of the ocean. So the more money he has, the more of these challenges he buys from the Conqueror, and the more trees he plants for you. So if you comment, you like, and subscribe, he can buy more bracelets, pull more trash out of the ocean, and plant more trees. Isn't that awesome? Shouldn't you be doing that then? Be smart. Click that like button, or I'll eat you. Might eat you anyway. You look delicious.